All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking the story of a company that has quietly, almost invisibly, built one of the most powerful empires in human history. We're talking about ByteDance, the massive brain behind TikTok. Now, you probably know TikTok, right? It's the app with the dancing, the lip syncing, that endless scrolling. But what you might not know is exactly how a scrappy little startup operating out of a cramped, dingy apartment engineered an algorithm so incredibly powerful that it fundamentally rewired how the entire world consumes information. It's a crazy story of unprecedented growth, pure genius strategy, and of course, some massive global controversy. Honestly, the whole company is built on a massive paradox. On one hand, they are literally in a perpetual state of crisis. I mean, they lost 200 million users literally overnight when they were banned in India. They're constantly facing threats of bans in the US, and they get accused of being a massive espionage operation on a regular basis. But then you look at the flip side. Despite all of that chaos, their financial success is almost incomprehensible. Seriously, if you combined the total revenue of major tech giants, Twitter, Zoom, Snapchat, Spotify, all of them, it still wouldn't even touch what ByteDance brings in. So the real question is, how on earth does a company survive those kinds of existential threats while simultaneously dominating the global economy? To figure that out, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to hit 5 key areas. First, the tech empire paradox. Second, the addiction engine. Third, the growth playbook. Fourth, the algorithmic dark side. And finally, number 5, the master plan.
Okay, let's kick things off with part 1, the tech empire paradox, from a 4-bedroom apartment to global domination. You know, their beginnings were incredibly humble and honestly pretty bizarre. Back in 2012, ByteDance literally launched out of a 4-bedroom apartment in China where the electricity just kept shorting out. Their founder, Zhang Yiming, had this absolute Steve Jobs-level ambition to build a borderless global company. But to actually get there, they basically had to function as a ruthless app factory. They pumped out 12 different apps in just a few months, and we are not talking about elegant productivity tools here. They had a decidedly lowbrow reputation early on, cranking out these joke and meme apps with wildly clickbaity titles. Stuff like laugh so much you'll get pregnant. No joke. Actually, they struggled to hire top talent at first simply because nobody took them seriously. But underneath all those goofy apps, Zhang Yiming had a massive epiphany about the future of smartphones. Which brings us to part 2. The addiction engine, redefining the feed. Up until this exact moment, platforms like Facebook and YouTube totally relied on your personal social network. You know the drill. You had to search for stuff, follow accounts, subscribe, or friend people just to see content. Well, ByteDance completely bypassed all of that. They built this brilliant recommendation algorithm using AI and massive amounts of big data to serve you content based purely on your micro interactions. We're talking every single tap, every swipe, and most importantly, every single second you paused on a video. They actually tested this first with a news app called Taotiao, and it worked so incredibly well that users were spending an unbelievable 74 minutes a day just reading the news. So they looked at that and realized, hey, if this works for news, what happens if we apply it to short, super entertaining videos? Well, the result is what we all know today as the For You page, and it's intense. Psychologists have explicitly compared this frictionless, endless feed to sitting in a casino playing a slot machine. Because you're consuming so many short videos in such rapid succession, the algorithm is secretly gathering an absolute mountain of data on you in just minutes. You never actually know what the next flick of your thumb is going to reveal. It creates this irresistible, never-ending scroll that literally tricks your brain into losing all track of time. ByteDance even engineered it so that if you press the back button on your phone, it doesn't even close the app. Nope, it just shows you another video. You literally have to double tap just to escape the thing. Now, an addictive algorithm is completely useless if you don't have high-quality content to actually feed it. And that leads us to part 3, the growth playbook, capturing the world. Let's break down exactly how they pull this off using a pretty genius 5-step playbook. Step 1, they drastically lowered the barrier to entry. They added these incredible built-in editing tools, music libraries, and filters so literally anyone could look like a total pro. Step 2, they pushed these highly replicable challenges, like those dance trends we all know, so users didn't even need to come up with original ideas to join in. Step 3, they gave totally ordinary users a sudden taste of massive fame by algorithmically boosting their very first videos. That gave them a huge dopamine hit and basically turned them into immediate evangelists for the app. Step 4, they aggressively bribed top creative talent to jump ship from platforms like YouTube and Instagram. And finally, Step 5, they nurtured those creators like crazy. ByteDance assigned them personal account managers who would sometimes literally help them with their school homework or even their relationship problems, all just to keep them happy, loyal, and posting content. And if you want to know just how aggressive they were about this, check out this number, $1 million. According to reports, ByteDance paid this massive, mind-boggling sum to a single, unnamed influencer for one single video, just to get them to start posting on TikTok. They weren't even focused on profit at the stage. They were laser focused on pure, unadulterated growth. I mean, they were spending up to $3 million a day on advertisements across other social networks, just plastering that little TikTok watermark absolutely everywhere until you literally couldn't ignore it.
And you know what? That aggressive spending paid off incredibly fast. In 2016, they launched Douyin over in China. Fast forward to 2017, they launched the international version, TikTok, and they made this absolutely brilliant strategic move. They acquired the app Musical.ly. That one move instantly handed them a massive, ready-made teenage user base right in the United States. And then came 2020. The pandemic hit, lockdowns trapped everyone inside their homes, and TikTok usage absolutely skyrocketed. Kids suddenly got their parents hooked on it. At one point, the average user was opening the app 8 different times every single day. TikTok became a massive global phenomenon faster than any app in human history.
But, as we know, unprecedented growth always brings unprecedented scrutiny. Which means we have to examine part 4, the algorithmic dark side, when the engine works too well. Looking objectively at all the intense geopolitical tension right now, it really comes down to the sheer volume of data TikTok collects. We're talking your keystrokes, your search history, your precise location, what other apps you use, and even what you happen to have copied to your phone's clipboard. Now, the core concern for Western governments is China's national intelligence law. Basically, that law allows the government to compel companies to hand over data without needing a warrant. So officials have warned that this makes the app a potential Trojan horse for surveillance. But on the flip side, TikTok has been incredibly strict in defending itself. They state very clearly that their international app operates entirely separately from its parent company in China, and they maintain that they have never and will never hand over user data to the Chinese government. But even if we step completely outside that whole data debate, we really need to consider the human cost here. What actually happens when an algorithm designed purely to hijack your attention succeeds perfectly? Remember, this AI doesn't have a moral compass. It doesn't care how you feel. It simply wants you to stay on the app no matter what. Because the algorithm is so insanely good at tracking exactly what you linger on, it can inadvertently create some devastating rabbit holes. Investigative reporters actually found that if a user lingers on sad content, the algorithm can flood their feed with incredibly dark, depressive videos in a matter of just 30 minutes. Furthermore, with such a massive underage user base, the platform has had to face entirely unacceptable issues with predators, which actually resulted in millions of dollars in fines regarding children's privacy. And then there's the whole moderation controversy. Leaked guidelines revealed that at one point TikTok was actively restricting or shadow banning videos from users who appeared disabled, overweight, or simply poor. They also censored specific geopolitical topics like mentions of Tibet. Now, TikTok claimed some of these strict rules were just clumsy attempts to prevent cyberbullying, but critics argue it was a highly concerted effort to artificially manufacture a more desirable aesthetic and appease certain political powers. Yet, despite all these massive controversies, the app just continues to grow. Why? Because ByteDance has a vision that goes way, way beyond a simple video feed. Let's look at part 5, the master plan, beyond the For You page. To really see their true genius, you just have to look back at internet history. Remember Vine? Vine completely pioneered the short video format, but it absolutely died in 2017. Why? Well, when their top creators asked for $1.2 million to keep making content, Vine just refused. ByteDance watched that massive failure and learned the ultimate lesson. You absolutely have to pay the creators. So TikTok built an entire creator marketplace directly into their app, effortlessly connecting brands and creators. They totally blurred the lines between content and advertisement. This made it highly, highly lucrative for influencers to stay totally loyal to TikTok, all while ByteDance takes a very healthy cut of the overall profits. But here's the crazy part. Short-form video was literally just their starting line. ByteDance is currently building a total tech ecosystem. Just look at this massive expansion. They're directly challenging Amazon by integrating e-commerce. On their Chinese version, Douyin, they actually process $30 million in sales in a single day just through in-video shopping. You see a product in a video, you tap it, you buy it, and you never even leave the app. But it doesn't stop there. They're acquiring mobile game studios, they're launching education apps, and they're even pushing enterprise software called Lark that competes directly with Google Workspace and Slack. They're even moving into long-form video streaming to take on heavyweights like Netflix and YouTube. Seriously, TikTok was just the Trojan horse they used to get our attention. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Today, with over 110,000 employees globally, expanding into banking, gaming, shopping, and enterprise software, Shangyi Ming has actually achieved his wild dream of building a borderless company. TikTok has already completely conquered our attention. So, what part of your life will ByteDance conquer next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the feeds in front of you, and I'll catch you next time.